Should be good.
Okay. So let's just get us started. We do have, Mike, one person that might join a little bit later.
That's fine.
So please know that someone else might pop up. That is Carlos Almendros, who is also with Mac Daly in the board of directors for GBTA. Um, Besides all the other things that they do, by the way, right? So he might be joining a little bit later. So you have a little bit of a variety of profiles in this call, from marketing, membership, education, operations, etc. IT. I don't want to forget Jude from IT. So we are very excited to hear the demo for TopClass LMS. And please, everybody, take notes, ask the questions. This is very exciting for all of us. I think it's going to be a great framework for us to move forward in terms of what comes next on the education and learning side. So, Mike, I'm going to pass it to you if that's okay.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for meeting up so early this morning and everything. So it's really great to see everybody from all over the place. One of the things to mention, I'll mention to you, Inez, is if you see somebody try to click in that's still in the waiting room, just let me know, because I start talking and I start showing stuff and I'm just all over the place and I don't notice those kinds of things when I'm
Sounds
out
great.
there. Couple
Will do.
things too is that I've got Dan sent me a list of some different things to make sure that we cover. I've got that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with showing a presentation of the system from a learner's point of view. We're going to go through all of that. It's a lot of stuff to cover, and it'll give you a really good idea of all the different features and different things that you can do in TopClass. So we'll cover that off to start with. Secondly, after we get through with that, what I'd like to, I've got a few PowerPoint slides. I want to talk about implementation a little bit, the integration with the AMS system and those things. So I've got a few PowerPoint slides to show that. Now, unfortunately, I can't show that in the demo because then I'd have to have a different setup for every single integration that we do, and we do a lot of them, and they're all standard integration bridges that we provide. So, and finally, the other thing is, as we get going here, as I'm going along, if you have a question, don't do the hand raise or anything, just ask the question. Because I'm not going to see the hand raise because I'm going to be too busy looking at the screen and going through the different things here. So just ask the question, and if it's, and we can stop. It's not like I'm a freight train going down the tracks and it's going to take me 2 miles to come to a complete stop. I can do it on a dime, so it won't affect anything. So with that, how's that sound for everybody? Okay.
Perfect.
Let's go.
Thank you.
All right, let me get a share going here. I apologize a little bit because I'm doing everything on one big screen now, so sometimes it goes a little crazy. So right now, everybody should be seeing a login screen for TopClass. Now, this is just a standard simplified login screen. If you wanted people to log in directly into TopClass, you can allow them to do that, even if it's integrated with your member system. I think you're using Euclid is the system that you've got right now. For your
Yes,
AMS.
Mike, we are using Euclid, and we're actually looking at other AMS systems. We have 3 selected, so if that's something that you want us to share with you, we can as well.
I've got a screen I'll show you with a lot of different standard integrations that we have.
Perfect.
So hopefully
Guys,
it's on
recording just in case somebody couldn't make it. And sorry if
yes, Don, we are recording. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. So my point is, if you're coming in through the member system, then it's all single sign-on. They don't have to remember any passwords or anything like that to get into TopClass. So it works that way. But I like to show this because you can have a completely separate login page if you want to for TopClass as well, and it's completely configurable for what you want to do. So the first person I'm going to log in here is I'm going to log in as Jason. And the reason I'm going to log in, Jason's never been in the system before. This is a new feature, Inez, that you haven't seen, Dan hasn't seen. This is available. TopClass has a built-in recommendation engine that's built into it already. And it's in the first phase. We're going to be doing 2 more phases of it. So if I log in as Jason or come over to the system as Jason, since he's never been in the system before, you can set it up so it asks them that he hasn't selected any of his interests yet. And it would help, the system can automatically recommend learning to him. So he says, okay, let me choose my interests in the system here. And so he says, these are the different interest blocks that I've built in my system for different areas that he might be interested in. So I can say, okay, I'm just going to use this as an example. Medical training might be of interest to him. So all he has to do is save his changes in his profile. Once he saves his changes, if he goes back to the landing page inside of TopClass, and I'll explain all this in a bit, there is a block here that says recommended learning. See, this is going to be courses that are being recommended to him based on his interests. Now, one of the things that we're doing in TopClass, this is phase 1. Phase 2 is going to take into account the training that he's already had to recommend other training to him based upon the training he's already had. And phase 3 will take into account what his job role is. So it will actually be able to take care of all of those. But right now, phase 1, you build these interest blocks, and then when somebody logs in as new, you can have it set up so that it'll ask them to check their interest off. It's an optional feature in the software. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but it's something that's available. Make sense?
Yes, and I do have a question. If you can you scroll down for a little bit? I think you have.
Hang on a second. Let me go in as Ella here.
Sure.
Be the same page.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you scroll down, you have that revolving. Yeah. So there are quotes at the bottom, right? That
Yes. Yep. Testimonials.
Okay, yes. So is that an opportunity also, to provide information about other upcoming courses from the marketing perspective?
No, that's going to be a different place. That's going to be in learning. I'm going to explain all that as we go through.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
In the system. So in this case here, I just logged in as Ella. Ella is somebody that's already been, here we go. So Ella is somebody that's already been in the system. She's been using the system and whatnot. When somebody comes into TopClass, they can automatically be brought to one of 3 places. They can be brought directly to the landing page here inside of TopClass like Ella has. Or if you think your learners are a little bit more apprehensive about using a new application, you can instead have them brought automatically right into the Getting Started page. The Getting Started page tells them all the different things that they can do in TopClass based on their privileges. Since Ella's only a learner, there's only certain things she can do, so there's only certain tiles that are going to show up here to explain those things. So for instance, view her current learning, and it shows the different things she can do there, and she's got a shortcut button to go right to her current learning. But this isn't the most important part of this page. The most important part of this page, I believe, are the guided tours. So for instance, how to use the Learning Center. Well, it's pretty apparent. So if I click on it, a bubbler system pops up and it starts guiding me through TopClass and explaining everything as I go along through the system. So it gets somebody acclimated to the system really quickly. And so they get used to it, and then they can go on and just use the system. Although the system is very easy to use. At any time, the learner can turn that off and just go back on their, just go back on their way and do whatever it is that they want to do inside of TopClass. Now, the third place somebody can automatically be brought to, if you want it set up that way, they can automatically be brought right directly into their learning center itself. This will show them all the courses that they're currently enrolled in, courses that are required, recommended, training programs they're working on. All of those things are going to be here, and I'll describe all this in a bit. But those are the 3 places that once somebody logs into TopClass, they can be brought to. I will say about 80% of our customers have their learners brought directly to the landing page inside of TopClass. It's easy to navigate. And if they want to, they can always hit the Getting Started button to go in and learn more about the system and whatnot. Now, on this page here, it's going to look really busy. I've got almost all the widgets turned on, and I'm going to tell you about some widgets that aren't turned on as well that are on this page. You can determine which ones you want to use. You can determine the orders in which they show up in the columns and those kinds of things as well. Now, for instance, up at the top here, I've done some branding on here. There's a customization tool inside of TopClass, so you can customize your landing page here within certain parameters, of course, because we want to keep everything as standard as possible. Now, across the top, I put some colors in. I went to the website, put some colors in and different things, picked up your logos and whatnot, and did that across. So you can change that as often as you want. However, if you also have members that are large organizations, for instance, or member organizations, you can allow them to have their own branding in here as well. So that's something that's available for you to be able to utilize. Then below that, we've got an alert banner situation here. You can use these if you want to or not. But what's nice about these alert banners, it's just, register for the conference. I can just click here for more information, and it will take me right over to where that additional information is for that situation. And you can change those out as often as you want, colors, everything, branding, those kinds of things too. And the learner can turn that off so they can have the full desktop real estate available to them. This background area here can be a picture, a carousel of pictures, a video, anything that you want to have back here, like what you're doing, like you've got the orange in the picture kind of a thing on your websites, and you can change these out as often as you want as well. You'll have the total ability to go in there and do that. We'll set it up for you initially just to get things going. Down below that are the 3 available shortcut buttons that are there. Now, with the exception of the first one here, these 2 other shortcut buttons here, once again, these are widgets. You can turn them on and off, kind of if you want to use them or not. The first one's kind of fixed. That's going to take Ella to the last course she either purchased, the last course she was working on, or the last course she was enrolled in. If it's the last course she was working on, it would show a progress indicator here showing her percent complete in this particular training program. Now, in this case here, she hasn't been in it yet, so there's no progress indicator there. TopClass automatically bookmarks wherever anybody is left off in a course. So the learner does not have to place bookmarks anyway. And it doesn't matter how they get out of the training program, it's going to automatically bookmark where they left off. The middle one here, go to the Learning Center, and of course, browse the catalog. Let me show you this really quickly here. When you set the catalog up inside of TopClass, you label and determine what your categories are going to be, subcategories and whatnot of all the different training programs that you have. Training programs can be in more than one category at a time, just to make it as easy as possible for the learner to find whatever it is training program that they're learning on. So you can see over here, I've got all the different categories in my demo system here that are all here. And like, for instance, courses by focus area, you can see there's an arrow there. That means there's subcategories within this. If I click on that, it's actually going to show me what it means. Focus area. What does it mean? This is the description of this particular category. And then I've got different courses here under this particular category. It shows all of the different things about it. So I can look at my catalog like that. I can do a keyword search in my catalog. So if for instance, if I typed in TopClass, I don't even know if I got any courses out here for that. What it will do, it'll search my catalog for the title of courses, the body of the descriptions, and any meta tags I've associated with this course that say TopClass. And so it's going to pop up all of these different courses that are here. So you see this one here, Onboarding 101. It doesn't even say TopClass in the title because it's in the description somewhere or a meta tag that I've associated with it. So it really makes it very quick and very easy for me to find courses that I'm looking for. Plus, on top of that, I can also filter my search as well down below here. So I can filter it by activity type, by user ratings, by price if I want to, by category, by credit type, if they're associated by credit types. And also, if you're looking for courses that are webinars or whatnot, I can do date ranges as well on here too. So we can do all of those kinds of things to make it as easy as possible for somebody to find the training that they're looking to accomplish. Now, one thing I did want to mention here too is in the middle of the picture area here, I can also have a call to action button here, such as, for the latest information about this course, click here kind of a thing. I can actually have a call to action. I didn't want to turn that on. Down below the buttons here, the shortcut buttons, I've got some other widgets that are here. Featured news. These could be articles about the industry, podcasts, could be news articles about the organization, about education programs you're doing. Anything that you want to have can be here. This is a carousel. Once again, you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but this is a carousel. You can have as many different things out here as you want, and you determine what's here and when it drops off. And all I want to do is say, for instance, the future of travel of the travel management company. If I click on it, it's going to take me to where that article resides, and I can just go in and continue reading that article. I just popped this off your website. It took me 2 minutes to do it, kind of a thing. And then for any of these others interest me, I could just continue reading through them. The idea behind this is to have people coming back to the system for more than just taking a course. So you can have other information that's out there, and it keeps them interested in the whole activity. Down below that, INS is featured learning. This is where you can promote courses maybe you've newly added to the system, courses you've edited or updated, or just training programs you want people to take notice of. And in this here, once again, this is a carousel. You determine what's here, when it drops off, and those kinds of things. You have as many different things out here as you want. And all somebody has to do is, let's take a look at this Master Analyst in Financial Forensics. If I click on it, it's going to pop up the full catalog description of this particular training, in this case here, a certification program that's out there. And it's going to tell me that it's a certification program to start with. I like to associate pictures with all my courses. We've got some standard pictures in there. I don't like them, so I pick my own. And so you've got a short description of the course. And then, of course, you've got the long descriptions of the course, and then all the different information you want to have here. There's no restrictions on the information you can have in your course catalog. You can even have video. If you want to have talking heads in there or anything like that, you can have that, recordings. A really common use of this as well is that people will have links for more information, and you can have links in there that they just click on to go on for more information. And course brochures. That's a very common thing. You can do attachments to these descriptions where you can have like a course brochure or something like that, that somebody can download that course brochure, for instance, without having to, actually try to enroll in the course or purchase the course, kind of a thing. So it's just a great way for you to promote your training, and a little bit of marketing that's involved with that. And that's the whole idea behind that carousel that's there. And then down below that, of course, is testimonials. The reason I mention that is because you can allow users to rate your courses. Maybe you only want them to rate certain courses. Maybe you don't want them to rate courses at all. But if you do, then as administrators, you can go in and you can pick and choose some testimonials, because it's a star rating with a comment, just like an Amazon kind of a thing. And so you can pick and choose. It's a self-revolving carousel that's there. Now that's kind of what's available in that column of different widgets that are there. There's also recommended learning can show up in there, but I prefer to have it over on the other side over here as well. Now on the right-hand column here, you see the first thing here, search the catalog. Once again, I can just do a keyword search right here in the catalog for something that I'm interested in. I don't have to just bounce around in the application to figure out where I've got to go next, kind of a thing to do that. Now, one of the widgets I have not got turned on right here, there's that sponsor block. And it's a revolving sponsor block, and it's a cube shape, just like you see here, but it revolves around, and you can have as many sides on it as you want. Now, it doesn't have to be used for sponsors. It can be used for upcoming information about things going on inside the organization. It could be information about new courses or anything that you want to have there. You can use that sponsor block for. And it's just, once again, it's a marketing tool that's out here to keep people always informed of not only sponsors, but also maybe other things that you have going on that might be of interest to them. And when they click on it, it's going to take them to wherever that link's going to take them for that particular information. Down below that is upcoming due dates. This is something that's fairly important, especially with certifications and also courses that must be done by a certain period of time. We ran into this with the cruise line industry, where they have training that needs to be done before people can get on a boat, kind of a thing. So, I mean, they have to learn certain things. So there's deadlines for them. So in my system right here, I have it set up so that if anything is due within the next 14 days, that's why I set my demo system up. Anybody that has anything coming due within the next 14 days is going to see something out here. It's going to remind them that they need to do this particular course. Now, in this case here, if it becomes overdue, it'll say overdue, and I can't even access it. I can't get to it. I can't do it. Now, this particular course right here, Psychology of Fraud, it's due March 10th. So if I click on this, it's going to take me to the enrollment or purchase process. The reason I say enrollment or purchase, if a course doesn't cost anything, all they have to do is hit enroll, and it automatically enrolls them in the course. If it's a purchase, they've got to go through the purchase routine to do that. If I'm already enrolled in the course, I can click here, and it's going to take me right to it. The idea here is to keep the learner focused on the tasks at hand, not try to figure out where they've got to jump to next in the application in order to accomplish something. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to get around and maneuver throughout Top Class. Now, down below that is a thumbnail of an events calendar. This shows two things. It shows events that you have coming up and events that I have to be done by a certain period of time, or events that are assigned to me. Now we're at the end of the month here, so there's two little gray dots down here at the bottom. And if I click on any of those, it's going to show me all the different things that are available on that particular day. And I can see what they are. I can determine maybe I want to enroll in some of these. So if I click on these, it's going to show me the full catalog description of this particular training program. Now, if I look ahead and go into March, you'll see that there's a lot of little dots. I know this is really small on your screen. There's a lot of little dots right there, but there's also some color-coded items. That means that I have something that's assigned that needs to be done by that day, kind of a thing. So I always know what's going on, and I can click and see what it is all about, kind of a thing, and enroll or purchase it. Now, we also have the ability there, you can look at this in a full month at a glance, full screen view, which is even easier for the learners to see. I can see these last couple of days down here, there's a lot of things going on the 28th. There's only one thing on the 27th. And I can page through the months and take a look and see what the different things are that are going on in the organization. Once again, it's a little bit of a marketing tool, but it's also a reminder for the learner. Now, what's nice about this is the learner can go ahead and they can just print this off, maybe tack it on a bulletin board as a reminder, especially if they get things that are coming up due. They can also look at this in a list view, which is a lot easier for a lot of people. They can see all the things going on in March in the organization that might be of interest, and I can click on it and do that. Now, one of the questions that comes up quite often is that, say, for instance, I do sign up for a webinar or a dated offering or something like that. When I get my enrollment notification, I'll get an email notification from TopClass saying I've been enrolled in this particular course. kind of, or confirmation that I've been enrolled in this particular course. They're also going to get an iCal in there, what I like to call iCals, so they can populate their Outlook calendar with it and those kinds of things as well. So that does happen, and also a link to the program. And which brings me to messages down below. TopClass has a full email system that's built into it. And this is really important because, well, number one, any email messages inside of TopClass also get sent to that person's regular email address as well. So they're going to get them in both places. The reason I say it's important is TopClass has over, I think we're up to over 100 automated notifications built into the system. Reminders, you've been enrolled in a course has been canceled, you've been transferred to a different webinar, you've got a course that needs to be done by a certain date, and you've got post work or that needs to be done. All of those kinds of session evaluation that needs to be done. All those kinds of notifications are available inside of TopClass. The nice thing about them is the majority of them are course specific, so that they can be specifically assigned. They're not these general notices that come out of the system. And what's really nice about that is you can edit the messaging, you can edit the branding, you can edit the scheduling, and also the runtime frequency of those. So for instance, if you wanted to have session evaluations, say for instance, you made a session evaluation and it was mandatory, you could actually have messages keep going sent to that person, notifications, until they complete that session evaluation kind of a thing. So you can really have a really good nag factor in these if you want to. The other thing to mention here inside of TopClass, we also have discussion and forum capability built into the system. And with discussion groups, for instance, you can attach them to classes, certification programs, and communities of interest. Now, if I have a discussion group that's attached to a class, anybody that's in that class is automatically enrolled in that discussion group. If it's a community of interest and I belong to that group of individuals, I can choose to subscribe to that discussion group or forum. But if I'm not a member of that group, I won't even see it, so I can't subscribe to it. So it keeps it kind of specific like that as well. Now, if you're using or want to use tools like Higher Logic, we have a standard plugin with those. They plug right directly into TopClass, and people can access their communities right through within the system. So we do have that available.
And Mike, can these discussion forums, can we also customize and said, okay, we want to have these people just join this, right? So can we do that on the back end as well? So it's not open to everyone?
That's a community. Yep. So you can
Okay.
have group. So you can actually assign discussion groups to groups of individuals.
Got it.
And
Okay, great.
if
Thank you.
somebody's not in that group, they can't even choose to subscribe to it because they won't see it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And then down below that, and so Ella's not involved right now in any, she hasn't got any new messages out there or anything. Now, recommended learning, this I just showed you a few minutes ago. This is training that's been recommended to Ella based upon what her interests are. Down below that, we also have, I think it's so funny, U.S. Naval Sea Cadets Corps. She's in that too. So we have digital badge capability built into TopClass. In TopClass, it's got a really nice design tool where you can design and create your own digital badges, and then you determine how somebody earns those digital badges, what courses they have to take or course they have to take, kind of a thing. We have standard integrations with Credly, Badger, and LinkedIn. So if you are doing digital badges, they can promote those to those sites if they're involved with those sites as well. And then finally, down below that, Ella is involved in a lot of different certification programs. Now, in these different certifications, these are just the thumbnails to where she stands in these certification programs that are there. I'll show you what the full dashboards look like so you can see what the full dashboards, but this is just a quick view for her to be able to see where she stands in these. Now, we've got a bunch of other widgets that aren't turned on because it just gets way too busy for me to show it to you, but it's all the social media widgets. So we have standard integrations with LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and Facebook. So those are all available as well on this landing page here inside of TopClass. Any questions?
I have a question. Are we able to, you mentioned groups, are we able to sync groups across different systems? Like if we use our member community platform has existing groups, are we able to sync those over here as well?
I'll explain that at the end of how that works. Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic.
And it's pretty common. We do that all the time.
Don, do you have a question? No,
Yeah.
okay. I do have one actually. And maybe you will touch on this later, but can we create different pages? For example, I give you very good example. We have in this call people from LATAM and EMEA, right? And someone that will be listening to the recording is from APAC, but we might have very specific content, right, for those regions. Are you going to talk about pages, or can you show us that? Or I'll just wait, if you will.
Well, the way that you do that is that everybody gets associated with their specific groups, whether it's region, organization, or just job roles, or so you have so whatever organization you have set up in your member system, that will all be transferred over to TopClass, and it will automatically create that structure, and those individuals will be placed into the proper groups that they're in. When they're in those groups, you can actually have those groups can have languages assigned to them, so they're only specific languages. They can have courses that are just specifically for those groups, and they're only going to see those courses. Nobody else is going to see them if they're restricted to those groups, because why have people trip over things that aren't applicable to them, kind of a thing. So yes, that's all.
And you said they can be restricted, which means we can also allow everybody to see everything, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Totally up to you as to how you want to structure that. The other thing I did want to mention too is that TopClass comes standard with US English, UK English, French, Canadian French, Spanish, and German. If you want to add other languages, you can get language packs and plug those into TopClass. We actually have one instance of TopClass that is in 23 languages. So just like you were mentioning about content, for instance, based upon my group membership, I can automatically be assigned a specific language that's associated with me if I wanted to do that. Plus, once somebody selects a language for when they log into TopClass, the application will always be in their particular language until they change it.
And that might come standard, all these 5 or 6, I don't know,
those
come standards.
TopClass, yeah. Okay. Now, the other thing too to mention is, so I don't want anybody to make any assumptions here. TopClass does not translate the course or the training program. You have to do that because words mean different things in different languages, and you can get some pretty big trouble, if you just have it translated it itself, kind of a thing. So, but anyways, the other thing I want to mention too about wording and languages and whatnot is that if you don't like our terminology inside of TopClass, if you want to change it, you can change any of the application words that you see here anywhere. In the system, all you have to do is turn on language strings. You'll have full access to this. We'll train you on those things anyways, and you can change the wording. I know there's always that question always comes up all the time. So you can make it applicable to your current web presence or training presence that you're currently using. So let's go into the Learning Center. So in the Learning Center in TopClass, when I go over to that, I have 4 tabs that go across the top: current learning, completed learning or training history, test submissions. You can allow people to view their test submissions, and certification. So if you're using the optional certification feature set, I can see where I stand in the different certifications that I'm working on. Now here are all the courses that Ella is currently working on in the system. Now in these courses here, she is enrolled in most of all these courses. If she had a course that was assigned to her that she hadn't enrolled in yet or hadn't purchased, it would say assigned, and it would also say required or recommended, because there may be training programs that are required based upon that person's role. And there may be other things that are only recommended, things that might be of interest that she can determine whether or not she wants to take. So it will list those elements there on this particular page. Now on the top course right here, Introduction to TopClass 2025 release, you can see this, it's not started yet. It says it's not started. If it had been started and she'd been working on it, a progress indicator would show up and show her percent complete through that particular online training program itself. Now, TopClass manages all forms of learning. So we manage on-demand, online content. We manage webinars. We manage recordings. We manage blended learning. We manage classroom learning, locations, seats, all that kind of stuff. So we manage all forms of learning with the system and just, and exams. Now, this particular course right here, this Introduction to TopClass, you can see there's a paperclip here. That means there's a workbook or workbooks or some kind of take-alongs that go in conjunction with that. I don't have to start the course yet. I can just click on the paperclip and download those right here without even getting into the course. This is particularly handy for recorded webinar sessions, for instance, because everybody always asks, can I have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation? And so you can actually
there
have,
is those two sections, support and then action.
Sorry, Mike. Carlos, could you please mute yourself? Thank you.
so,
Sorry,
anyway,
Carlos is here, by the way.
I can tell.
Yeah, Carlos is here.
Awesome.
I hope, there we go. Thank you.
So anyways, so it tells me that this course is not started yet. You'll also see over here as well, it also says it's an online course. Over here, there's a policy rule for this course. This course is only available from January 1st of last year till August 31st of this year. And the reason being, there might be some rule changes or something that's going to go outside of that. So you don't want somebody taking a course that's not applicable anymore. So you don't want them taking bad training. The other way that this is also used is, say, for instance, somebody purchases a course. Well, you can say that they're only allowed to have access to it for a set period of time. So it'll show them the number of days that they have available to take this particular course. And it will be a countdown timer. A really common thing, a lot of organizations, they'll allow somebody 60 days in order to complete a course. And they'll see until it gets all the way down to 1 and then 0. When it gets to 0, it'll say access denied. And so they won't be able to get into it. Now they can contact you as an administrator and beg for forgiveness and get reauthorized to take that particular course if you want to allow them to do that. Or you can say, no, you got to purchase it again. So that's something that's totally up to you. You can also see here in this course, there's a discussion group associated with it. I can go right into that discussion group if I want to. There's also a red dot there that means that there's a new posting in there. So I can just click here without having to go into the course to get to it. I can read the posting, post a reply, post a new thread, do whatever I want. Now to get into this course, all I have to do is click on the title of the course or this launch pre-work button that's down here. And so I'm just going to hit the launch pre-work button. Now in this particular course right here, I've got a pre-work survey that I want them to fill out. Inside of TopClass, you can have pre-work and post-work. You can use one or the other or both. Typically post-work is going to be something like a session evaluation. And on session evaluations, you can make them mandatory that they have to fill them out before they get credit for the course. So that's one way that you can assure that you're going to get feedback from them. And you can use these one or the other or both, like what I've done here. And this is a course by course basis. It's not over, you don't have to use them for all courses and whatnot that's out there. But I like to show both of them. Now in this, you'll see over on the left-hand side, there's a progress indicator. I'm 0% complete in this course. I'm in my contents page. Remember the paperclip? These are the resources. These are the workbooks that are there. So I can just click on that and download these and have them for the course itself. And you can have that for any course, whether it's a classroom-based course or webinar, virtual training, any of those kinds of things. And down below, you'll notice that down below, in order for me to have access to the course, I have to do the pre-work survey. Because as you can see, I have padlocks there for all the different pages and chapters and modules in this particular training program. Now, at any time, also, the learner can close down that table of contents and have the full desktop real estate available to them. Now, because I've got everything on one screen, I can't show you this, but all user-facing screens are fully responsive. So no matter what device somebody is using, whether it's a smartphone or a great big computer screen like what I've got here, they can take a TopClass course. It totally reformats for the size screen that they're on. And also, any web displayable content can be utilized in training programs inside of TopClass. And that's for, as far as you can see here, for test questions, for instance, they can be audio, video, pictures, text, whatever you want to have in those questions. And also that goes the same for all content. All content can have any web displayable content for your training programs. And just before anybody asks, we fully support SCORM 1.2, AICC, and XAPI content. They're one button uploads to get them into the TopClass. And I'll show you how those display here in just a few minutes. Now here, let's take this pre-work survey here. So we say, are you an industry professional who requires training on a regular basis? Yes, I am. How often are you required to take training? I'll say every year. Please select the preference for the way you would like to be trained in order from best to least method. And I'm going to do these in order so I don't confuse myself, which sometimes I can do. And go down and just, hey, submit. So now, once I hit submit, yeah, I'm sure I want to do it. So as you can see, now it's opened up my entire course right here. Here's another thing as far as the course goes. You can actually enforce the order in which somebody takes a course. So you can allow them to not jump around, or you can allow them to jump around. That's something that's totally up to you. In my course here, I could jump around if I wanted to do that. Plus, the other thing I want to mention too, as far as training programs go, training programs can have prerequisites. So you can have it so that somebody has to take accounting 101 before they can get to accounting 102 kind of thing. So you can enforce that as well in the system. Now, as I go through the course, it's going to green check mark me as I go down through so I can see where I stand, just as a quick visual if you're doing it. And as a content author, you can determine whether or not you want this table of contents to show up or not when somebody gets into a course. So I'm going to continue my course content. Now, this is a video that's being streamed from Vimeo right here. There's no audio with this particular one. Videos can be any size on a page that you want them to be. I've just got this kind of shrunk down on this particular one right here. Now, videos can be streamed from any service. They can be like YouTube, Vimeo, any of those kinds of streaming services that are out there. However, if you bring videos into TopClass, you can turn them into interactive videos because we can stream videos from inside TopClass. So this here's an embedded video. I think this one's on Vimeo, and I'll show you what I mean by streaming video from inside here in just a second. So I'm going to go to the next page. This is a static page. Now, I created this particular course using the tools inside of TopClass to create it. We have content creation tools that are out there inside of TopClass. This is just a static screen here. This is just another static screen here. This particular screen has some accordions on it. You're trained on how to do all these things in the system. So just facts about TopClass and then TopClass capabilities. I mean, it's just a nice little accordion that's there. Here's another static screen. I just got some text in there. This, we also have flashcard capability built into TopClass. Can you show me the look and feel of TopClass? And roll over it, and it'll show the look and feel of TopClass kind of a thing. So it's just these nice little features that are available if you want to build course material using the tools inside of TopClass. This is a video showing up a little bit differently in this. And once again, they can be any size of the page, but it shows some points about the video. And then once again, videos can automatically run when you get to the page, or you can start them up. The learner can start them up on their own.
It adapts to fit your needs and processes, and not the other way
I
around.
recorded this video 6 years ago, so it's an old one that's out there. When I go on to the next page, this is an interactive video that I just dropped into TopClass, just a quickie little video that's here. When you bring videos into TopClass, if you notice along the bottom here, there's some white dots. That means there's section breaks or bookmarks that are in this particular video, might be places of interest. And I can actually see that what these bookmarks are. One's about certification dashboards. This one's layouts and external training. So that's what those three represent that are there, kind of a thing. A person can also place their own personal bookmark or reference point in a video. I'll show you that in a second. Let me just close this. Now, I can also stop people from fast forwarding in videos. I haven't done that here, so that I can also have knowledge check questions in the videos. Like I'm going to get really close to one here.
All Ellen has to do is go to her learning center.
And this is going to go to a knowledge
From
check
there,
question.
She can click on certifications. When she clicks,
and it's just going to stop. Now, this could simply be a "you still there" question kind of a thing. I have to answer this question for the video to continue on. So does TopClass support certifications? Yes, it does. And once I say done, the video starts back up again and starts moving on.
See the certification.
Now, like I mentioned before, a learner can place their own personal bookmarks in the video, like maybe it's a reference point, something I want to go and look at again, kind of a thing. So all they have to do is hit the bookmark tab and just add a bookmark. And I'll say, need to look at again. And let's add that in there. And so what you can see now, I don't know if you can see this little tiny thing here. There's a little gold dot there. And if I roll over, it said, need to look at again, kind of a thing. So it's a great tool to have somebody be able to come back to. Now, also, you can have closed captioning on videos. You can also allow people to speed videos up or slow them down when they're watching them, kind of a thing as well. Also, you can have annotations across the top of the screen. So you can annotate the screen. So different sections, this might be, this is about this is about that as you go along in through the video. This has become a very popular tool inside of TopClass that a lot of people are using. So I just want to mention that. So this particular video here, I've got to do a full completion of the video to complete this page. So I just go down to the very end and I've reached the end of the video. And so now
Mike,
go ahead.
For the videos, can we make sure that they cannot advance it, that they have to watch it before they can move forward?
I just have that feature turned off on mine so I can get through it, not watch myself.
Yeah.
Video. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Most organizations, and when they're using videos, they don't allow people to fast forward through them.
Yep.
The
Thank you.
same goes, you can still allow them to speed up the video because it'll speed up the audio, for instance, but not skip through it like I just did. Yeah.
I also have a quick question.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I need to cut you off.
I was just going to say, we have a lot of bar associations, attorney type things, and they have to watch complete videos. And so that they use this a lot for that reason.
I was just going to ask if are the closed captions auto-generated, or is that something we would have to upload ourselves?
You're just going to bring the VTT file in with the video.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. That's the way it works right now, kind of a thing. Now, tests, quizzes, surveys, pre-work, post-work, session evaluations are all run off of our testing engine inside of TopClass. We have a very powerful testing engine that's built into the system. Inside of TopClass, there's 9 different question types that are available. Boolean, the yes, no, true, false, pick one, pick many, list matching, fill in the blank, essay questions, upload questions, acknowledgement questions, and Likert scale questions. Those are all available inside of TopClass. And as I mentioned, test questions can have any web displayable content associated with them. My test here is pretty bland. It's mostly just text. Excuse me. Now, with tests, when you're building tests inside of TopClass, they're based off of question banks. So you can create question banks inside of TopClass, and a test can be made up of one or multiple question banks. That's up to you when you do this. Questions can be picked from these question banks, so they can be, you can say, I want these 10 questions on this particular test out of that question bank. Or you could say, maybe this question bank's 100 questions big, and you only want 10 questions on the test. You can say, randomly pick 10 questions out of this question bank for this particular test. However, question 2 needs to be in that 10 pick somewhere, and it's a mandatory question that they have to answer before they can submit the test for grading. So you can do all of those kinds of things. And you can also say, maybe this question bank of 100 questions, I want to have them randomly selected, but don't consider questions 90 through 100 because they have nothing to do with this subject matter. So you can actually do that as well. The other thing to note too is that question banks can have sub-question banks within them. So you can have an overall subject, but with subsections of that subject within these sub-question banks in this overall subject matter kind of a thing. So you can be very sophisticated when you're setting up these tests. And for instance, you can, as I mentioned, you can say specifically pick these questions, put them in order on this particular test. Pick these questions, randomize the questions. You can also randomize the detractors, or you can just say randomly pick 10 questions out of this question bank for this particular thing, or use all the questions in the question bank, randomize them or whatever. So you have all of those kinds of options are available. This particular test right here, this shows me it's my first attempt and it's for credit. When you're doing a test inside of TopClass, you can allow for multiple attempts if you want to. Maybe it's once and done. Maybe it's they've got 3 chances at it, or maybe it's unlimited attempts and their last attempt will be their final scoring. Now, what's important about that is that TopClass will track all of their attempts, and that's for reporting purposes for you, because we've got really good reporting on the back end inside of TopClass, where you can actually go in and analyze how test questions are doing, how people are doing on specific tests. Like if everybody's getting the same question wrong all the time, maybe there's something wrong with the question, maybe there's something wrong with the content. It gives you the ability to go back and analyze those kinds of things. So all that's available in the reporting on the back end of TopClass. Now, this particular test also is a time test. I put a timer on this one. It's an option when you're setting up tests. And they got 30 minutes to complete this test, a 5-minute pause. They can take a 5-minute pause anywhere in the test. I set that up in there. And also a warning for when the test only got 5 minutes to go, since this is a time test. And this test here is going to be auto-graded by TopClass. If it had an essay question or an upload question, where they had to upload a project or anything like that in the system, then it would be, it could still be auto-graded by TopClass, but then it would be submitted to whoever the examiner is or peer review to review their answers and then grade them and make any comments on them that they want to do. So you can actually have that as well. So when I go to start the test up, this particular test that I've got here is displaying all the questions at one time. So I'm going to be scrolling down through the questions. You can also have it so that it's 1 question per page. Now, if you do 1 question per page at a time and somebody gets out of the test in the middle of the test, you can set it so that TopClass remembers their answer. So when they hit resume, it'll take them to where they left off in the test or not. That's something that's up to you. If the questions are all displayed like this, all one at a time kind of a thing, then if somebody gets out of the test in the middle of the test, it doesn't save any of their answers. They have to go back and retake the whole thing. And that's only if you allow it kind of a thing as well. It's kind of a little bit of a safety thing in these tests. And by the way, this question has been coming up a lot lately. people can't download anything from TopClass. They can't download content, they can't download videos, they can't do it. It is specific to inside of TopClass. Now I can't say they can't print screen because anybody can do those kinds of things, but they can't download content. So anyway, so let's take the test. There's 7 questions on this test. Does TopClass only manage e-learning courses? No, it does more than that. What day is it? Since I only got 2 choices here, it's a Thursday, so it's a good thing it's a Thursday. What's the current version of TopClass? 10.7.2. Which of the following features of TopClass? E-commerce, catalog, testing. It can't make coffee yet, but it is on the product roadmap. So just so that you're aware of that. Select all the correct statements. TopClass is intuitive, complete, and proven. It's the flexible learning platform. It can manage certification programs. It cannot be customized. We are getting away from this. It's more of a configuration process now because it really helps on the support end of things to keep things really good for everybody. When did WBT first develop TopClass? 1995. I can attest to it. I've been with the company 25 years, so we've been around for a while. I can do all kinds of things, so I just go ahead and say submit. So now when I say submit, congratulations, I passed the test. I've achieved 70 out of 70. So I think, yay, I'm done with this particular course. So now when I hit exit and get out of it, it's going to tell me something. It's going to say I got pending post work to do. I made the session evaluation mandatory in this particular course. I'm not getting credit for this course until I've actually done the session evaluation. So it's a great way to enforce that particular thing. So all I have to do here is go ahead and launch my post work. And you'll see my table of contents is green check mark me all the way through the course. So I know I've completed the course. So there's that session evaluation on it. So let's take it. Content delivery, did it meet my learning objectives? Yep, I'll agree with that. Was it pitched at the appropriate level? Sure. Was the course topic applicable to my job role? Yep. I love the presenter. Content was sufficient and comprehensive for my learning needs. Content improved my knowledge of the area. Overall impression, I'll say excellent, of course. I'm not going to bother typing anything. Nobody laugh. I'll be 35 today. And is the sun yellow? Yes. Exams necessary? Yes. I'll say yes. And now when I submit this, what happens is that when I submit it, now I'm going to be awarded a completion. So now TopClass is going to come back and it's going to award me everything that I've earned for taking this particular course. So for instance, I've earned, in this case here, 3 CEUs, 1 CPD. I've got a certificate for each of those. I've got a certificate of completion for this particular course that I'll be able to download. And I've also been awarded 2 digital badges. So I got a lot for this particular course that's here, kind of a thing. Now, just so that I wanted to mention this too, TopClass also has a design tool in there so you can design your own custom certificates. And you can have as many different certificates and certificate types out there as you want to have. You determine what information gets pulled out of the database, where it is, the type styles, the background for the certificates, and all those kinds of things that are there. Now, the unfortunate thing is that I'm just going to go to the Learning Center. The unfortunate thing is I can't show you the certificates without flipping screens here because I'm on a 1-screen kind of a thing. It's just going to show you a blank page. But it's really nice that you can do all these different certificates that are out there. Now, the other thing I did want to mention to you here too, if you're using SCORM, AICC, or XAPI content, you can choose how it operates inside of TopClass. Now, one of the really nice things about TopClass is that since you do have those options, if anybody that's ever dealt with this before, is that you'll get somebody calling you saying it's not working right because the SCORM pops up in its own window and you wind up having to tell them to turn off pop-up blockers and those kinds of things so they can't do it. So when you bring a SCORM course into TopClass, you determine, do you want it to pop up on its own or do you want it to pop up inside of TopClass? So if it pops up inside of TopClass, you don't have to worry about pop-up blockers anymore. So for instance, this particular Sonata learning course here, if I hit resume, this is a SCORM course, I've got it, so it's going to pop up inside of TopClass. It can still be any size on the page. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to resume.
Feel free to contact us.
I can just
at the
go
email address below.
any size on
Thank
there
you
that I
for
want
taking the time
to
to
do
do
for
this
that particular
demonstration.
course
And we look
itself.
forward to working together.
And so I'm just going to hit pause and then just go back. So that's how a SCORM course would operate inside of TopClass. So it's really nice. It makes it very convenient. And as I mentioned before, it's a 1-button upload to get them in. And you can actually put additional content using the TopClass tools, content building tools around that SCORM course if you wanted to as well. And then finally, one other thing to mention here as well, if you're using, and I don't know if she's got a course out here. Oh, maybe she doesn't. Webinars. If you're using webinars inside of TopClass, if you create the webinar inside of TopClass, and you're using Zoom, Teams, or GoTo. If you create the webinar in TopClass, schedule a webinar in TopClass, that what'll happen is that it'll automatically be created and scheduled inside of Zoom, Teams, or GoTo, whichever one you're doing. So you only have to do it the one time. Learners can access the webinar, and I can't run 2 webinars at the same time. Learners access the webinar, they can actually click on attend here on the outside, and it will take them right directly into the webinar. So all single sign-on. They don't have to remember logins or anything, and it'll take them right directly into that webinar session. TopClass will track their attendance. It will also track partial attendance as well. And once again, you can turn it into a blended learning experience where you can put content around that webinar as well. So you can really make it a complex learning experience for that particular learner that's out there. Now, a really common use also is that most organizations, if they are doing webinars, they record them. And like that video that I showed you right there, that's a recorded webinar session. All you have to do is a 1-button upload to get it into TopClass, and you can turn it into enduring content. So you can have it that's always available out there. And what's really nice inside TopClass is that you can have, if you have webinars listed in the catalog itself, in the catalog of offerings, you can say, for instance, a webinar, and you can have a listing in there for alternative delivery. Maybe that webinar is being given on a day that I can't attend, but I really want to see it. Well, there's going to be a recorded session. So you click on the alternative delivery, and they could actually enroll in that session. And when that was available, they'd be able to take that particular recorded webinar session. And so it makes sense. I don't want to talk in circles here, kind of a thing. So, okay, cool. And so I did want to mention those things out there. Now, in completed learning or training history, this is where I can see all the different training programs that I've completed. Unfortunately, Ella takes a lot of the same training programs that are out there, over and over again. She really likes them. And so anyways, in this particular course right here, one of the things that you can do here is that I can go in and I can look at my test submissions that are there. So I can see the different test submissions that are there. I can also go in, you can allow people to review the course. So this is up to you when you set the course up. Do you want them to have access to it after they've completed it? Maybe to use it as a reference tool or a job aid or something like that. So you can actually allow that to be there, and you can also restrict it to maybe you don't want it there, or maybe you only want it there for a certain period of time. So you can actually do that as well. And also, if you notice here, you can have attachments. Now, remember before I mentioned on like a webinar, everybody always wants that PowerPoint presentation that was offered during the webinar session. Well, you can restrict it so that they can't have access to that presentation until after the webinar has been completed and after they've attended. So they don't have it while the webinar is going on and start playing with that, not paying attention to the webinar kind of a thing. So you can actually have it restricted that way. So you can actually have resources that are available after somebody has completed the course. Or you can have it so that the resources are available in both places or only during while they're taking the course. That's something up to you when you're setting this up. And like I mentioned before, I can always see what I was awarded for this particular course. Like this course here, I got 3 CEUs and 1 CPD. And like I said, I can click here, get my certificate. I know it's a blank screen right here that you can't see. Well, let me just see if I can get this up here. And so this is just a little certificate that I did right here, kind of a thing, using the tools that are available to me. Now, the thing about it is you can have as many different certificates out there as you want. That's something that's totally up to you inside TopClass. Let me go back here. Go back to the page. And like I said, I've got 3 different ones here. I went overboard on this particular course. Now, the nice thing here too is the learner can filter their training history. Maybe they want to take it. Maybe they're going to a performance review, or they're going to a different company and they just want to be able to take their training transcript with them. They can do that. So I can filter it by date completed, by code, by title of courses, by expiration date. So if I have courses and training programs that are expiring, I want to know when I have to take them again, kind of a thing. So I can do that. Or I could just say, I want to look at CPD courses I've earned CPDs in. So I can say search, and of course these are all these courses with CPDs, and so it tells me here I've got a total of 410 CPDs that I've earned, and I've taken 275 courses that offer CPDs. Now, the nice thing about this is the learner can actually print this filtered training history out and take it with them for that particular review or whatever it is. They can download all their certificates at once rather than print them off one at a time. So they have that ability there as well. The other thing you can allow learners to do is you can allow them to add external training into their training history inside of TopClass. This could be training that they've taken elsewhere, but they want to have all of their training history in one place. And so you can allow them to do that. And in my case here, what I've done is, and you'll have the ability to do this, I've created all these different templates. And these templates are the type of information I want to get. These are the only types of training I'm going to allow somebody to add into their external training. So I can say, well, let's do publish an article. What it does, it reformats it. It tells me what it was, the date that I completed it. If there are any, I can decide whether or not I want to allow credit types with it, kind of a thing. And also I can say they have to attach a document proving, any extenuating documentation proves they actually did what they said they did. So you can allow them to do that. Now, one of the things I do want to mention on course completions, credits earned, and those kinds of things, that is all written back to the member system. So it gets written back to their account in the member management system. So all of that gets written back upon completion of the course. So it's in real time, the way that these things work. So that's the way that kind of works inside of TopClass. Now, that's completed learning. Now, in certifications, in this case here, this can be used for complex learning plans over and above the way that you can structure learning plans on a group basis inside of TopClass, but complex learning plans and also certifications. So for instance, if you're doing certifications inside of TopClass, for instance, the certified TopClass administrator is something that Ella is working on. It's in progress. She's got 443 days left to complete this particular training program, this particular certification here, because this was a 2-year program that she was enrolled in. So if she just continues it, it's going to bring her right directly into the dashboard for this particular training program. Now, in this particular dashboard, I got to close this down here. This drives me nuts. In this particular training program here, I can see where I stand really quickly. This is an initial certification, so it's not a recertification. We manage initial certifications, recertifications, and master credentialing inside of TopClass, which is made up of multiple certifications. So here I can see I'm 62% complete. She has 443 days left to complete it. She's got mandatory elements, elective items, a credit requirement, and a final exam that needs to be done. Under the mandatory items, she's done 1 of 2, so it shows her as 50% complete. Under elective items, she's done 2. She only needed to do 1. She's 100% complete there. She needed 30 CMEs. She's 100% complete there. And she's got a final exam that's not yet available to her. Down below, under mandatory items, it says there's only 2 here. And it says these must be completed in the order specified below. That's the way this certification is set up. You can also have it, they can be done in any order. It's up to you as to when you set these up. She's done the first one, so now she can go in and she can choose the session to the second one. If she hadn't completed the first one here, this would be a padlock here. She would not be allowed to go to the second one because the first one was prerequisite to it, kind of a thing. Here's the nice thing. If you assign a certification or somebody enrolls in a certification inside of TopClass, and there's multiple training programs like there is here that they need to take, I can add these to my shopping cart and enroll in them right from the dashboard. I don't have to go find them in the course catalog. So the idea here is keeping the learner focused on the tasks at hand rather than where am I going to go next to get this next thing, accomplished, kind of a thing. So we want to keep everything in order. Elective items, it shows she's completed 2. And that's all she needed to do there, but she can still go take the others if she wants to. This is my credit requirement. Now this one here, it shows a little tiny padlock here on this one because she's locked. She can't add any more training. She's already got 30 CMEs, so it'd be senseless to do it for this particular certification. Now, if she hadn't had 30 and she had some external training she wanted to add here too, she doesn't have to go back to the training history to do it. She can add the external training right here. So it'll say add external training. She can click on it and add it in here, just like what I did in the external training a bit before. And then of course, this final exam here, this one, the prerequisite to this final exam was everything above it needed to be completed. So I set that up as a requirement to do that. So that's pretty much how certifications and whatnot set up inside of TopClass. Now, if you did have something that was all, if you had something in certifications that was all external training, we support that very much as well. So let me just show you that really quickly here on this, I think, just to show you supply management one here. If I hit continue here, all of these things are things that we don't offer, but it's a certification that somebody needs to complete. So they need to get training in different areas. So here it is. These are the mandatory items. These are the elective items. And it's in this case here, it's just add record. So when I click on here and have to add the record, for that particular certification that's there. This is the information I have to fill out for this particular one and put that in and hit create, and it will add that to my record inside that certification program that's there. And these can also have date restrictions on them. They need to be done within a certain time frame here as well. Just like before, any record that I add here that's external training is also going to get written back to the member system which to show the completion data out there as well. And once again, that's done in real time. So I didn't want to mention that really quickly. Any questions on the Learning Center itself and training history and all that? I want to show you a little bit on reports before we jump over to the stuff on integrations and whatnot. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a good question. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Inez, but a lot of our people who would be logging into this would have past courses. Can we bulk upload their past courses so that they can get to the next one? Yeah.
We have a training import tool, so you can have all their training history can be imported directly into TopClass. The only thing we won't import is we won't import a training in progress. So if they're in the middle of a training course,
Right.
That gets really sloppy to try to get those in, and so we prefer those to be done. So you have a cutoff date, when those need to be completed, and then have that stuff brought over into TopClass.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for the question, and Mike for the answer. But Rachel, I also want to add, yes, that is part of what we will need to do, right? So we can allow attendees to refer back to what they did, right? Because that's the other issue that we're having right now. If someone comes to us today, and Don, you will understand that, and says, I just took the January class, I want my certificate, where is it? We have to go and dig for it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna resolve that with this type of infrastructure. So thank you.
It will bring all the completion data over. It won't bring the certificates over, but it'll bring all the completion data over to show the dates,
Right.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Any other question before I jump to reports here? I know it's a lot of information. I talk really fast. I try to cover a lot of stuff, so it's like.
No, this is great. Thank you.
All right, let me log in. As you can see, there's because I completed that TopClass course. See it says resume now back on the Sonata, because that was the last course I was working on after that. So it remembers those kinds of things. Once again, keeping the learner focused on everything that they need to do in the system. So I'm going to sign in as Mike, and I have a hard stop at 11, so I want to make sure we cover this. Now, as an administrator, you have a lot of different things that you can do inside of TopClass. Under the hamburger menu, it's all these different items that are out here: managing courses, managing individuals, managing the catalog, and all those things. But I want to get down into reports. Reports are now native inside of TopClass, so we have our own report structure that's built into the system. Now, reports can be scheduled, so you can say every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, I want this progress report for people's progress through a particular course sent to Mike Barassa. And that will automatically be scheduled every Friday afternoon. That particular report will get sent to him, kind of thing. And you can also do reports on demand. So you can have them scheduled or on demand. Now, in the report repository here, these are all the different reports that I have available inside of the system. So we keep adding reports to here, but one of the reports I always like to show here, since a lot of reports, is student progress. Let me see if I can find it here, just to give you an idea of what this looks like. Student progress by activity. Let's go on that one. Now, when you're creating a report inside of TalkBot, actually, when you're editing a report or configuring a report, there's a lot of different things that you can do this. So first of all, you need to select the activity. And I want to look at activities that have the word TopClass in them. So I'm just going to do that. There's a lot of different courses out here. There's 45 different courses with TopClass in the name of the course. But I'm going to say select them all. And so I'm going to select them all. And I'm going to say submit. These are all the courses that are there. And I could filter this by enrollment dates. I could by completion dates, but I'm not even going to bother to do that. I'm on a wide range. I'll say apply. And it's going to tell me there's 556 items out there, depending on the courses, the students, and all of that. So down below there, here is my report. And so it shows the course code, the title, the type of course, the first name, the last name, the enrollment date, the status, for instance, whether enrolled in it or not. Let me get down to the bottom here. And I can just scroll across to this report. The reports can be sent out in PDF or CSV that's there. But here's the nice thing about this. So, and it also shows my the status, the progress percent complete through the course, the start date, the end date, first time it was accessed, the last time it was accessed, and completion date. Now, for instance, if I want to change this, I can say which columns I want to show. Maybe I don't care about the type of course. Maybe I don't want the status because I want to just look at the progress. I'll look at the start date and the end date. I don't care about the first time it was accessed or the last time, and I'll say apply. And I can actually go out there and it's going to reformat my report here. So it's totally reformatted. I can save the reformatting of this particular course. And once again, have this sent out on a scheduled basis if I want to do that. So you can have these different reports and whatnot sent out, you know, like this, if you want to have them sent out any way that you want. And at any time, you just go in. Now, right now, you have to have admin privileges in order to run reports. There's also a restricted area here if you are a manager inside of TopClass. I didn't discuss this. A manager's view, a manager can also print certain reports off about the groups that they manage and nobody else, kind of a thing. So that's something else that is available in the system.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, because I'm thinking, and Dawn, you're the one on camera, so I'm gonna pick on you. But you know, Dawn obviously is not where I am, right? We're far away from each other, but we collaborate a lot. So she handles some of our classes in EMEA, and I'm here. So I think, Dawn, this is gonna be good for you all as well, right? Because you will be able to run the report specifically for your classes. Of course, I can do it too, right? But you will have much more flexibility in saying, oh, let me see who is already registered for our classes. And you just go in instead of relying on me sending you a message, right?
The other thing you can do as well, it doesn't even need to be a report, especially to see who's enrolled in a class. If you
Right.
have instructor privileges, let me go back here. It's a new feature that we've got inside of TopClass. We've got an instructor center.
Oh, nice.
And I can go in and I can take a look and see who's in these different courses that are out there. So I can just go into the course. There's nobody in this course. They would all be listed here. Let me see if I can find a course.
That's okay.
Somebody in it. My activities, let me
Is that the
see.
sort of thing, Ines, that we could, or would we want to give the likes of Simone, you know, who's a regular instructor?
Yep.
She could go in. It would also give her an opportunity to look at what people have done in the past, so she
Exactly.
gets a sense
Yep.
of what the level is, and then she can tailor it very much to them.
Yep. And like
Yes,
this,
absolutely. Yeah.
this particular course right here, it shows there's Teresa. I don't look like Teresa, I don't think. And so it shows what it is. And this is her test in this particular course. She hasn't completed it yet. And it's
Yeah.
unreviewed, of course. And I can view what she's done so far, you know, in this, just from the main strikes. And you would see all the students listed here if you wanted to. Now, at the same time, too, if it's a webinar or something like that, you have full rosters that you'll see and all those kinds of things in the
That's great.
system as well. So
And Mike, Dawn, do you have a question?
I was just going to ask, and apologies if I have missed this, and it's something that Jude has asked, but sometimes you only take information in at the point where you're understanding things. But did you say, Mike, that we would, will we continue to run our registration separately, or will people just book directly on this? And are we able to link it also back into our, you know, CV system, or is this replaced? You know, I'm just trying to work out the different places. What about Zoom? Do we continue to set our own Zoom up and operate through that, or do we operate? I know you referenced Zoom, but it was still quite new or quite early in the system presentation, so I wasn't sure if that if that meant we have to use yours, or whether you can connect with ours. I'm just
oh yeah, no, the way that it works is that you have to have a Zoom account.
okay.
And we connect to the Zoom account. if you're using this for webinars and whatnot, I don't understand, I don't think you need to use CV anymore for that, because you can create the sessions, what it does, it attaches to your Zoom account. So you create the sessions and whatnot inside of TopClass, schedule them. They'll automatically be created and scheduled in Zoom. And then people just can access the Zoom one of two ways. They can either access it by clicking attend inside of TopClass, that will take them right into the session, or they're going to get a confirmation email too when they enroll in the course. And that confirmation email is going to say when it is and all that stuff. And there'll be a link in there too that they can click on, if they want to access the Zoom session through that as well. So it's a twofold thing. So you wouldn't have to use Cvent for something like that at all.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, that would certainly cut down just in terms of our registration system setup. It would be great.
Yeah,
and Dawn,
it helps alleviate the overhead, so you're not having to manage multiple systems in order to make that come together.
yeah, and Dawn, we will support you obviously doing all that from this side, right? But it will be so much more seamless for you and attendees as well, right? It'll simplify everything that we're doing.
Yeah,
Mike, I have one. Go ahead.
You go, Ines, it's okay.
Thank you. I have a question because we do have instances where we will have in-person sessions. So can we configure, registration through the system and then ask them to come back and take a survey or an assessment or whatever it is, especially because we do have someone from LATAM that will be doing in-person sessions. So.
Yep. That would be we can almost consider that a blended learning session where they would attend the class, but then they'd come back, they'd have to, log in and complete the session evaluation or the exam or whatever it is you wanted to have them do, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. So let me just go and let me just sign out here. And I want to call up PowerPoint presentation here. And just show you this right here really quick. Now you should see a screen here. And so I just have a couple of slides here that I wanted to mention to you as well. One of the questions in here is scaling. We have situations where we have accounts that are as small as 250 users per year, unique users per year, to we have one system that has over 3 million users on it. So TopClass is fully scalable. As I mentioned before, we're in 20 different countries. The system is running in 23 different languages, and some systems have up to 14 languages loaded on their system. So it's seamless. And not only that, but it's very secure. We use Microsoft Azure for our hosting solutions for the system. So I want to mention that. This here shows, I wanted to talk a little bit about integration. This shows IMUS, and otherwise I'd have to do a million of these. But typically, what I want to show here to this member system here is that what it does is that what we do is we leverage the AMS systems with TopClass. So for instance, one of the things we mentioned earlier, demographic information, all the learner demographic information that you want to have come down from the member system to populate TopClass. Now, even if there are certain fields out there that you want to have come down that we haven't got standard fields for, we have this feature called extra info. So at the time of implementation, we create those additional fields that you might want to have information about those individuals in their records inside of TopClass. The other thing too is that we'll also create that group structure. So if you do have that group structure in the AMS, that automatically flows into TopClass and creates into TopClass, and people get put into the proper groups associated with them. Each of those groups can have their own sets of business rules, such as training that needs to be done, training programs that are only available to them, all of those languages. So you can have it so that anybody in that group has a specific language. So you can do all of those kinds of things as business rules. And then you can also have assignments to individual groups as well. Assignments could be training that they need to do, or training that could be required or recommended based upon who they are in that group, kind of a thing. So you can do all of those things. Also, the other thing here is that if you do this, if you do utilize the catalog structure or e-commerce from the member system, which a lot of organizations do because that's usually a system of record for finances, then if you create that catalog of offerings that are in that system, those two can be ported down directly into TopClass and be created inside of TopClass automatically on the import of the system. And that way, people would pick off whatever courses they wanted to take in the member system, and they would automatically be enrolled in them in TopClass. So they'd hit the education button, they'd see those courses that they previously purchased in the member system. So we can do all of that kind of a thing. And of course, single sign-on, that's available as member, that's standard, you know, with all these different AMS systems that we work with. And so learners only have to remember one username and password. And the other thing, just to mention as well, is also a completion data automatically gets passed back to the member system. So once somebody completes a course in real time, the information is sent back to complete their record inside of the member system, and it will show what the course was, the date it was completed on, how they scored, and any credits that they've earned, kind of a thing, any credit hours. Just to give you an idea about that. Now, some of the integrations that we do, this shows some of the integrations that we do with the different member systems that are out there, like Pexium, Salesforce, Dynamics, Fontiva, Nimble, NetForm. Euclid's not listed. We just did Euclid, for instance. GoToWebinar, and, you know, of course, IMUS. And we also have standard integration with Zoom, Teams, and GoTo, and also with Credly, Badger, and LinkedIn. And also, if you're doing proctoring, if you want to do proctoring tests, we have an integration with Integrity Advocate. So that you can do proctor testing as well inside of TopClass. That's an optional feature inside the system. So just give you an idea on that. Now in TopClass, with TopClass, for instance, you have a team that gets assigned to your implementation. So account manager would be somebody like me, kind of a thing. You get a project manager assigned to them, and then developers are assigned as needed. So for the configuration, the integration, those kinds of things, the downloads, how you want your the group structure and those kinds of things. You'll have a trainer that's assigned to you. Training is twofold with TopClass. We have on-demand training, so you have access to the TopClass Hub as part of the project for the first year, for instance, and that has all the different training courses to create, build, maintain, administer TopClass. There are also live sessions, there are remote sessions that get scheduled with you to train the staff, and they're really good to answering questions and best practices and those kinds of things. So that all is part of the system. You'll have a specific support contact. You'll also have a support account where you can log issues or questions or whatnot. You'll also have access to the product page, the product page. The product page is a page where you'll always see things like the product roadmap, things that are going to be added to the system, you know, and things that are coming down. You can make recommendations on the product page so that you can recommend things that you'd like to see in the system, feature sets and those things. And you'll see what other people have recommended and whatnot. And we use that to determine how we're building out the system as we go along through the future, kind of a thing. And you will also be given assigned a customer success manager. This person, she will contact you on a quarterly basis, see how things are going, any questions that you have, any issues that you might be having that you think that aren't resolved or whatever. And also that particular person will also inform you of upcoming things that are going to be happening with the product and different upgrades and things that are coming down the line.
Mike, the support contact, is that a 24/7 situation? Because we also support the APAC region, and of course, it's completely, you know, the timing is a little bit different.
The way it is right now is we do have support in Australia. We do have support contacts there, support contacts on the West Coast and in Ireland, and of course here for the East Coast. The standard support hours are Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, you have to log your support request into your support account, so it gets into the ticketing system and it gets looked at right away, and the determination of the severity determines the response to it. We have an escalation process for support issues. Many times, if you log a support request beyond that time frame, kind of a thing, it gets into the ticketing system and it gets looked at first thing. And in some cases, it's fixed before you get back into the office. In other cases, you know, they'll have responded to you as to what's going on with the whole thing. So it works out quite well. We've like I said, we've been doing this for 25 years, and we just did add a support staff in Australia, as a matter of fact, because we do a lot of business. Kind of.
Thank you.
Yep. And then finally, just to give you a little bit quick an idea of what an implementation project timeline looks like. This is just a general overview. It typically takes 8 weeks to install and implement a TopClass system. This is everything from the initial kickoff meeting to the go live. And even after the go live session, your project manager stays with you for a period of time until you're comfortable with the system, because that's when the most questions come in, is once you hit the go live period, and you want to be able to contact that person relatively quickly to answer any questions that you may have. And this kind of shows you the layout of the implementation team on our end, things that you need to do and things that are specific. Purple is us, and for this, the implementation team. And then just the completion, up to week 8. Now, sometimes it goes a little bit longer than this, especially if you might be in a situation, for instance, where you're transitioning from one member system to another. So you might want to implement TopClass and not integrate it yet, kind of a thing, but have it ready for the integration for when you're ready with the AMS, and then we can do the integration at that time. So that would be extended out beyond that just a little bit, just to give you an idea as to how that would be. But I did want to touch on these slides for you as well. Now, in the catalog inside of TopClass, I do want to touch on this too. We have full e-commerce capabilities built into TopClass, so you can have that out there as well. And you'd have to have a merchant account available with either PayPal, Stripe, or Authorized Net. Those are the standard ones that we support out there. And so we have that availability. So if you did not want to have or utilize the e-commerce capability in the member system, we can fully do that inside of TopClass. So learners can purchase courses for themselves. You can have people so that they can purchase courses for other individuals as well. So we didn't touch on that as we went through the system here, but that's something else that's also available to you in the system. There's sales reports out here inside of TopClass and those things as well. So I did want to mention that to you as well in the system. And I think localization, I covered that with the group structure. Accessibility, TopClass, we adhere to the WAG 2.0 standards, I believe, and they're always augmenting those to come up with the later standards for accessibility for people with handicaps and whatnot. So we're fully GDPR compliant. So we have that as well. So, man, I talk a lot. Any other?
This was very comprehensive, Mike. So thank you first and foremost. And we do have about 5 more minutes. I want to ask our group, see if you have questions, because I know that I ask a lot of questions. So go ahead. Anyone?
I'm going to refer for a little bit. First, thank you, Mike. It was super clear your explanation. I am based in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and it's 1 p.m. or almost here. So while I was listening to you, I'll confess I was having lunch, but totally.
That's a good idea.
Exactly. That's super clear, and I could totally see the spirits on how it works and everything. I just threw Ines a couple questions that she could answer already on technical things. So wanted to appreciate the time, the clarity, and thank you very, very much for this intro.
Thanks for sitting through my long-windedness.
Thank you.
Dawn, you look puzzled. Have you got a question?
Oh, no, not at all. That's just my normal look, to be fair. No, I thought it was real. Like Candela said, I thought it was super clear. I think it takes our education to a whole different level. And I suppose there's a lot of information that we're taking in. So always I go into like the logistics and the nitty gritty and how will our users use it? How will our instructors use it? How will we use it? And I guess with all of these things, once you start, I feel very confident in the product. Without question. I think how much we use it and the scope of what's open to us will kind of evolve as we go. I love that Jude was on and was able to clarify integrations and things. So I think it's an exciting time for education.
Yeah, just to mention it too, because you kind of touched on this, is that one of the things that we find when TopClass gets implemented in organizations, they have this they have an idea of what they want to do, but what it does, it winds up growing because there's a lot of different things that you can do in the system. And until you start using it, oh, we can do it this way. Oh, we can do this. We can do that kind of a thing. And that really, it really helps. And not only
That's
that,
what I meant. Yeah,
but what it also does too, it gets your membership more interested in the platform too. And so the uptake really grows on a lot of the accounts that use TopClass. And we've got almost 200 associations that use TopClass now. So
yeah, and Dawn, internally we'll have to figure out what makes more sense to begin with, because it is overwhelming the amount of things that we can do. And while I'm excited and I want to do it all, right?
Of course.
The reality is we are a small, team of people, right? So we will need to decide internally what makes more sense to, but we can grow. That's the opportunity here.
Of it. Yeah.
The project manager,
that's right.
The project manager will help you with that in the kickoff as well, as to what you ought to, the things that you ought to do to start with. Carlos, you got a question?
I have, yeah, and it's just a quick one. I was in and out, so I definitely need to listen to a lot more of the recording. But I'm from Cisco, and as you can imagine, a big company like ours, we have a very similar sort of system which allows our employees to do the required training they need to do. They can always go back. They can resume. They can continue. So there was a lot of stuff that I see in our enterprise, which actually makes it easier for users to see what they've trained, have certifications, and be able to go back and look at it, which I think obviously is something that we've talked about collectively before. But no, so I just wanted to add those comments, but I definitely will review a lot more of it. But it seemed very in sync with what we use for our training across many countries. And I think the question came up about, GBTA is a global organization. So I think someone had already raised the question about, did someone raise a question about languages and things like that? I mean, was that? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that was it.
Handled it all.
Good.
So we need to we're covered.
So what I'll do is I'll as soon as this converts, I'll send Ines, I'll send you the recording. And if any questions or anything come up, or if you want to have like a question and answer session or anything like that after the fact, we'll set that up. So we can cover it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That'd be great. I know that we are a little bit over time here. I know that some of you need to drop off, so thank you for joining us. But is there any other pressing question that you have that we can ask Mike now? If not, please send me the questions and I will communicate with Mike for follow-up. But anything else before we wrap up? I think we have 1 more minute.
I just wanted to ask and see if you had a link somewhere where I could see all of the AMS integrations that you already have set up.
You can. I think it's on the website. I'll see if just take a look at our website, talklasslms.com, and under product, I think it's under product. I think it does show the integrations there. Just have Ines pop me a note, and I'll ship something over to you.
Yeah, and very, very quickly, I know we're over. Just very quickly, Ines, you just, I don't know, what about historical certifications and what people have done prior? Did that come up as well in terms of? Yeah, okay, perfect. I'll listen to the recording properly, like I should have done. Okay, thank you.
No, it's like, listen, the more we ask these questions, the more we remember the answer to these questions, the better off we're gonna be. So it's completely fine. I will say though, while we will have historical data to put in the system, we need to start with the most pressing things, right?
Yes. Yeah, no,
and then hopefully look back and forward, right?
Prioritize on the forward. I agree. I mean, and sometimes it's best just to start fresh, but I'm just thinking of the users that might get a bit disappointed if they can't see what they've already done. So,
it's all there.
Okay, good stuff.
Right. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mike. Everyone. We'll be in touch, and we'll go from there.
Excellent. Thanks, Ines. Thanks, everybody. Yep. Bye-bye.